Last time on the Just Create SMP, I finally started on my main base island, carving out the inside of this mountain and building the structure of my mega base. I also moved my power station up the hill and got it working. However, today I intend to turn this building into an elevator and entrance to the mega base, moving the power systems down here and generating even more power. But before that, there are a couple of problems to address. Problem number one is because my new power station is up on the top of the hill, my workshop down at the bottom of the hill no longer has any power. Problem number two inside of this workshop is that my carrot farm keeps stopping working, and even when it does work, none of my carrots seem to actually make it inside of the storage system. You can see it's absolutely empty of carrots, and even though it's been running for days and days and days, it hasn't generated any. The carrots themselves are growing, but every time it harvests them and puts them into the storage system, for some reason they just disappear. Oh, the barrel's actually got some in. It has done harvesting. And at the moment, I can't demonstrate this not working because, as I said, I've got no power. The third problem is not a problem at all. I actually rescued a couple of wolves in the last episode. Not that it made it into the final edit, but they were on the mountain as I was clearing out the trees, and as a result they're here, and I want to tame them. But I only have 2 bones on me, so let's get some more because there's no way I'm going to get them both on the first go. 30 more bones. Yeah, half a stack of bones. What could possibly go wrong? Both of these wolves will be mine. Are you ready, doggies? Yes. Oh, 1 first time and 2. Oh, apparently I only needed 2 bones. So amazing. We now have 2 little pet doggies who both need names. So if you've got any ideas for names, let me know in the comments and I will come back and name these guys at some point. I might even make you both a couple of name tags. Right, anyway, no time for dogs. We need to get our power system sorted out. As you can see, I brought a whole bunch of shafts with me, which should mean that I can just route power from this through the mountain wall into our new workshop area and get it all connected. Temporarily, of course. So I spent a couple of minutes routing some shafts along the holes I'd made previously to move lava to the mega base and got my workshop reconnected once more. Hello workshop, do you have full power and are you going in the correct direction? I'm going to assume you're going in the wrong direction. Oh, no. Everything is right. Oh, this is good. Now, okay, here's another weird situation. I'm not asking my workshop to make any iron sheet at all. Yet, if I head over here, you can see I am producing iron sheet. And I don't know why. Look at all that. It's chucked loads of iron in this. Stop making iron sheet. It's obsessed with iron sheet. Stop it. I need the iron for other things, you moron. Now, if I put that back in there, is it going to stop sending it? The copper's going through, but I want the copper sheet because we're going to need a lot of tanks. Hopefully it's not going to bring any more iron over here. Seems to be in the clear. Good! In that case, that's those 2 problems sorting out. The only other problem is this carrot farm. So let's see, have the carrots made it out of our machine now and into the storage system? They're no longer in that barrel, which should mean they are in my storage system. We knew there was some in there. We've all seen it. Let's search. There are none. There are no carrots in here at all. Why? Why do my carrots vanish when they go into the machine? The thing is, I've actually replaced all of this stuff. I've been round, smashed it all to bits, put it back together again in the hopes that that would solve it, but it didn't. Which is why I'm now eating steak instead of golden carrots, because all of my golden carrots have vanished. Are there any carrots on the belts anywhere trying to go through things? No, they are just gone. My carrots is gone. So what I'm going to do for now, as a temporary measure, is not send them into this vault, which is clearly deleting them. I'm going to get rid of that and have them go straight into a barrel. There we go, put barrel there, put a funnel there, and now when we get carrots, they should just go into that barrel and not disappear, and everything should be good. Let's just test that theory. Let's put some carrots into there. They go through that thing into there, and yes, we have a carrot. Good, that works. No more disappearing invisible carrots. So there we go. We have solved all of the problems, and that means I can start work on the next part of my plan, which is to get power moved from in there to in there. How hard could it be? What could possibly go wrong? Oh, and just quickly, before you guys all say, oh yes, but you're crafting all of your carrots into golden carrots. I was, but I turned that off, which means none of them are getting sent to the crafter. And as you can see here, we also don't have any golden carrots in stock. We've just got no carrots. No carrots! Anyway, power station stuff. First things first, we need to visit the blaze spawner in order to turn all of my empty blaze burnery things into blaze burnery things. And back at my power station, the next job job's going to be to determine where I'm actually going to be having my steam engines, and I think we need a few of them, but I don't want to take up this entire room, and I do want them relatively close to all of this. So I think what we'll do is maybe even get rid of these water tanks, because we don't actually need them, they're just for show, and turn these into the steam engines, and maybe see if we can stick a couple more in there as well. But before I start tearing these things out, we're also going to need to think about how we're going to feed the blaze burners, and currently in order to do that we're using a mechanical arm, which is taking buckets of lava, putting them into the blaze burners, and then putting the empty buckets back in that barrel where they get filled back up with lava. But the problem is the mechanical arm's range isn't particularly big, which is why all of these needs to be so close together, and I can't really do that down there, so we're going to have multiple of these, which means we need to think about exactly how we're going to lay everything out. So for example, if this big old vat of water was a steam engine, it's going to need a mechanical arm somewhere and a way of delivering the lava to it. And I don't want to make a huge mess of this area, but it is going to get a bit messier. So I think the first thing I should do is bypass the water going into these and then out into those pipes, and just take that straight from our water tank, which is up here. So that all runs into these pipes. Those can literally just be sent straight down along these pipes and straight out there like that, like the other ones, and then we don't even need those pumps at the top, so that'll make life easier. Okay, all four sides of that are now connected, which is great. However, the pipes that are taking water up to our actual power station are just connected to these tanks, which are no longer being fed water. So eventually these are going to run out. So now we don't need all of this power gubbins around here, because all of this was to provide power to the pumps that were actually powering those things. So we can save ourselves a bit of money here as well. Money? Yeah, money, because it costs money to buy these things from Chosen's Mall, you see. You can make them yourself. Well, I will be, but at the moment, look, shush. So how can we deal with this to make this power situation a bit nice around here? Because I don't really like these poles going up and down there. What I think I could do instead is get rid of that, spin those around, because they don't actually need to be going into these ones anymore. That means instead of having a shaft there, we can literally just bring it straight down here. Although I think it would be even nicer to flip that one around, put the shaft through there, put ourselves a vertical gearbox in there, and then bring that down to the bottom, sticking in the vertical gearbox there, bringing that across to here like this, and then we can stick our cog on there and connect that, and then we don't need any of this stuff on the top, and that just looks a whole bunch neater. Right, now we've got that in place, I just need to do that on every side now. And there we go, all four sides have the same system on there now, making it all nice and symmetrical, which means we can now turn these boilers into burners. And in order to do that, we are going to want the blaze burners on, and we're going to need to figure out how we're going to deal with the lava. So I like the fact that these are raised off the floor, but they are going to need blaze burners underneath. So let's just throw those in quickly. And then we're going to need a way to get the lava into those blaze burners. And I'm kind of thinking that we could have our little arm doing that from down here, so it's out of the way. We'll still have to pass lava to that, which shouldn't be a problem because we've got lava right there. So yeah, I think that's how I'm going to do it. So this is the system I've come up with. We've got our blaze burners here with our mechanical arm underneath. That's being powered by this cog, which is attached to this belt, which is attached to our pumps, which I've moved back from there to here, so it's all nice and compact. And that means we can just run our water and our lava pipe straight into this spout, which fills the buckets, and the water straight into our actual boiler. And what that means is this boiler is far too big, it's getting too much water, but that doesn't matter. We can make it a little bit smaller, and then everything should be good. But that brings me on to something else. You see, power stations, or particularly steam ones, are a problem when it comes to powering themselves. For whatever reason, should they run out, maybe there's an issue with the lava source or the water source, they're obviously no longer generating any power, and they need power in order to generate power. You need the power to run the mechanical arm in order to fill the buckets, you need the power to power the pumps to get the water in. So we're going to need power down here that will provide power for those things should the power station decide it's not going to work. And what I've decided is we're going to have a whole bunch of water wheels that not only power that, but also power all of these pumps as well that are pumping the lava and the water around the area. And the other thing I want it to power is the elevator that we don't have yet, just in case this power station decides it's not going to work anymore. We need a sustainable way of being able to get up and down there, and I think water wheels are going to be the best plan for that. So somewhere in here we're going to have a whole bunch of water wheels that are powering all these things, and that means all the power station's got to do is power literally everything else. The workshop, all of the factories I'm going to have on the outside of this thing around the island, it's going to have plenty to power, but at least it won't have to power itself. So I'm going to duplicate this 4 more times in order to get everything working, and then even consider adding a couple more. And there we go. All 4 power stations are in and connected and running. Everything's working great, and I've even got this one set up to a little speed controller here, which is now powering all of our pumps. And that means the one upstairs can be completely demolished. And yes, I've made them all the right size so that they're not oversized, and hopefully that means that when I've demolished the one upstairs, I'll have enough materials to basically make a second layer of these, doubling up our total power that we'll have, bringing us to over 1 million stress units. That'd be nice. Right, demolishing time. Well, doesn't this look all kinds of crazy? We now have 8 level 9 steam engines all stacked on top of each other, all squirreled round a bit so that everything's connected and everything should work. But I don't know if it does work because I accidentally broke a pipe while I was building it, which stopped the steam engine from running, which stopped everything altogether, and I've got no way of starting it again, which is exactly why I need those water wheels. Running you through quickly what's happening, we've got all 4 steam engines on each side, all facing towards the middle, all connected. The power's not connected to anything else at the moment. And then on the other side, we've got this higgledy-piggledy mess of pipes and girders and all sorts of stuff basically tying it all together. I've mirrored what's happening on this side, on the other side, and we've got the water and the lava pipes running up doing the same thing on both of them. And I think, other than the belts potentially going in the wrong direction, it all should work. But the only way to know if it's going to work is to connect power to it. So I guess it's water wheels time. And all I'm thinking of doing here is finding ourselves a chunk without a great deal of stuff in it, making a big old selection of water wheels, and then connecting that to all of our pumps. How hard could that be? Oh, geez. We have 24 water wheels in there, creating a whole bunch of power, which is connected through a speed controller, which is connected to all of that over there, which is then connected to all of our pumps, which is running our power stations, which are running. But if we walk around this way, you'll notice they are not running at full speed, and that's because now we're not getting enough water in there, which is weird because the pumps were running on full speed before and we had plenty of water, and you could argue yes, but each pump now is controlling 4 steam engines rather than 1, which is why you're getting a quarter of the water. And I think that's the exact issue. The problem is that's only generated enough power for what we're currently using. So if I was to add another 6 pumps on this, which is what we're going to need to give each power station its own pump, then yeah, I'm going to have to make that bigger. Oh, jeez. Well, some may call it overkill. I call it symmetrical. We're now generating a ridiculous amount of power just from water wheels in here. We've got a whole 16,000 left out of 36,000 SU. But now that that's connected to all of the pumps and each steam engine has its own pump, that means in total we are generating over 1 million stress units. If we look at this here, you can see we have 0.179648 SU, basically 1.2 million SU. That's fantastic. And it's all connected to the outside. These come down here, come through this, and then go over to there. And then that basically is mirrored on the other side, which is how they've combined, basically combining them through the whole system. And that means we don't actually need these ones that are running across here that were powering all of this before, that are no longer even connected to anything. So let's get rid of those, save ourselves some materials. And there we go. The power station part of this ginormous build is complete. And yes, I probably would have used windmills instead of water wheels if I had any wool, but I don't. And water wheels are absolutely fine unless you turn on shaders, so let's not worry about that. So moving up to the next layer, the next logical thing for me to do is to start building my storage system, which is going on this layer. The top layer is going to be for my workshop, but I can't build a storage system yet because I don't have enough resources. You see, in order to build a storage system, I'm going to need a lot of vaults. And I have got some vaults on my boat. I've got a few of them here. I've even got a couple down there. But I'm going to need a lot more than that. Now, I could take my diamonds, head over to the shopping area, and Chosen's Mall in particular, and literally buy as many as I can, because they're very cheap. But he doesn't have many, and I don't have all that many diamonds left, although I am going to spend them. Thanks very much. And the biggest thing holding me back from making lots of vaults is iron. So I could go over to Stam's little iron farm and steal even more, but I think I'm better off heading back home and building my own. And while I'm here, I'll do a quick carrot check, see if we're actually getting... And now that I have a handful of carrots, it's time to think about iron farms. So iron then. The easiest way to get iron is to wash gravel. And in order to get gravel, hang on a minute, go around the other side of this. You just need to crush down cobblestone. But in order to get a lot of iron, you're going to need a lot of cobblestone. And that brings me to a cobblestone generator, which I have in this workshop. But this workshop is heading for the scrap pile very soon once I've got a new one inside of our new power station-y big underground thing. So I'm thinking the place I should start with this is a brand new cobblestone generator. I don't know why I'm flying up here because I need to go back down there. And if you remember, the plan for this area is to have various layers going around the mountain with the monorail bringing all of the materials generated by all of the little buildings that are doing things on the side of the mountain built into the hill up to our storage system in the middle, the big box where our storage system is going to be, and our power station is at the bottom. Each of these buildings are going to be taking items out of the storage system and then probably putting their items back in again. And while I could build a big old building for a cobblestone generator on the outside, I think I'd like to reserve the spaces on the outside of the mountain for more interesting things like iron farms and redstone farms and tup farms and all of that sort of stuff. And things like cobblestone generators, which are probably going to be feeding a whole bunch of these things, make more sense to have on the inside where they're more centralized, so everything can access them nice and easily. And it would also make sense to give things like cobblestone, which are going to be used by basically every farm that I've got, their own storage system, which means that I don't actually want to be up here on this next level here. I probably want to be back down on our power station level and create a cobblestone farm in some of the spare space that we've got around here. But before we're back down here, I need to get rid of some of these horrible things by adding in a new floor in the most lazy way possible with a schematic cannon, because it's a huge area and I don't want to do it all by hand. And there we go, just 6.5 hours later, and I've poured more resources into this thing than went into it in the first place, just doing the empty shell. I've put in over 12 more shulker boxes worth of tuff, plus nearly 8 shulker boxes worth of girders, more lanterns than I could possibly imagine, and a whole bunch of copper and industrial iron as well, which means that I actually have no iron left at all. But it also means that we now have finished floors with service gaps in between, and lighting to stop all the mobs spawning. It also means we've got this area here for an elevator to come down to this top floor, which will be our workshop, and our second floor, which will be our storage system. It won't, however, go down to our power station right at the bottom because it would have to travel through the power station to do that. So we'll be basically getting dropped off at this level, having a little walkway over here. We've got these nice stairs that come down to this service cap, and I haven't actually put in the subfloor on this level because I've A, run out of tuff again, and B, I don't really think it needs it, as this is kind of the basement and it's an area you're probably not going to be spending all that much time in. I have had to add a whole bunch of lanterns to our water wheels though, because a creeper decided to spawn in it. A skeleton then shot the creeper consequently blew up, and now we have 4 pieces of obsidian in my infinite lava source, which doesn't really cause any problems, but I don't like it. But throughout this whole time, this power station has been working perfectly, having absolutely no issues at all, providing plenty of power to my workshop, where I have spent probably most of that 6.5 hours just crafting and gathering resources. Oh, and I did pop over to see Mr. Beardstone for a little bit more tuff. Mr. Beardstone! Mr. Beardstone! Mr. Beardstone! Hello?
That was just creepy. Jeez.
You're dropping blocks, fella.
Yeah, I know, that's because I'm rearranging stuff at the moment.
Oh. Well, I would like it if you rearrange some of your tuff into my shulker boxes again for that amazing discount you gave me before, because I can't afford it from my shop.
Oh, jetpack, not light truck.
Yeah, I keep doing that.
Yeah, it happens a lot. Yeah, not a problem. We can arrange that. How many shulkers do you need?
All of them. I've got 6 with me, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough.
Excellent. I will start spewing tuff all over the place.
Okay, brilliant. It was a diamond shulker, right, before? Do I remember correctly?
No, if you're having 6 shulkers, that'll be 60 diamonds, Foxy. I think we did establish your maths wasn't the best.
That's the same maths that you used last time, Mr. Beardstone. I'm sure it's not right.
I don't know how much I've given you.
Yeah, you've given me enough, I think.
Are you all full?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, 60 diamonds coming your way. Just 10,
Wonderful.
20, 30, 40, 50, 60.
Nope. Thank you. Nice try, Foxy. Nice try.
Next time, I'll get you. Next time.
Yeah, you can't fool me, Foxy. You can't fool me. How is your giant underground cavernous base going?
Oh, mate. Forever.
Okay.
That's how it's going. That's how it's going forever. All I've done today, so I made my power station work. It works really well. 1.2 million SU, thank you very much.
Nice.
And then all I've been doing is working on putting some lights up and the floor in. And it's taken me all day.
Oh, dear, Foxy.
Right, anyway.
Yeah.
Thanks very much, Mr. B.
No worries.
See you later.
Catch you later.
Bye.
Bye.
You've not done a replay mod of it all again. I know, but it's like 6.5 hours of me. Right, I'll place a few blocks here. I don't like that. I'll get rid of those and I'll play for some in the slide. Oh, no, I've run out of things. I'll go to my work. Oh, I've run out of that. I'll go to shopping. Oh, I've run out. And I'm just not in the same place for long enough. So the replays will just be like broken. So that you're not getting a replay of it. Oh. Tell you what, here's a very, very quick montagey replay of the whole thing. Jeez. That actually turned out all right. Which means it's now time to add a big old cobblestone generator down here on our power station floor, basically to keep it out of the way. And yes, it needs to be ginormous in order to keep up with literally everything that we're going to need cobblestone for. And I have it under good authority, as per my meeting with Mr. Beardstone previously, that if I want to produce copper and all that sort of funky stuff, I'm going to need a lot of cobblestone.
So from 3 cobble generators running at max capacity and just about feeding all the systems,
yeah,
I'm getting approximately 1 stack of copper per minute.
Well, that's pretty good though.
No.
It's not good enough, but it's not bad.
Well, I'm trying to make blocks. So I was AFK
9 minutes for a stack
9
of
minutes
blocks.
per stack of blocks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, I've been AFK for, I think this farm's been running for probably about 16 hours straight.
Right.
And I've got less than a shulker of each block type.
And that's because in order to get a tiny amount of copper nuggets, you need to mill down dripstone. And in order to get dripstone, you need granite and cobblestone and lava. And if we look at the uses for cobblestone, it's used for just about creating everything. So we're going to need a whole bunch of it. So I think the first thing we should do is come to this flat world and design a cobblestone... Oh, I've already done it. A cobblestone generator with 32 drills in it, generating us half a stack of cobblestone very, very quickly. You see, they made some changes in Create 6 to how cobblestone generators work, so they don't actually break the cobblestone and pop off the item anymore. They just keep spinning and spinning and spinning. The cobblestone stays there, not generating any lag, and the items get forced straight into the chutes, as I'll now demonstrate by flicking this lever here. I've also got a threshold switch on this vault that is set to turn this machine off when we get more than 10 stacks. So let's see how quickly that happens. Flick the switch and go. "14 seconds for 10 stacks. 713 cobblestone. That's pretty quick. And as you can see, this is how it works. The cobblestone looks like it's breaking, but it never actually pops off, meaning the items get forced into the chutes. But what's really happening there is the mod is just placing items into the chutes rather than actually dealing with any entities. So yeah, there's no block breaking, block placing, or tick updates or anything like that. It's very, very quick, very, very efficient, and it works very, very nicely. But I think 10 stacks in 14 seconds is not good enough. We're going to need a whole bunch more than that. So back down in my basement, the schematic that I've just taken for that just happens to fit pretty much perfectly inside of one of my little chunk squares. And if we get it nicely lined up like that, we could have one of these in each of the blank ones of these. And in total, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 blank spaces, which is basically 5 stacks of cobble all being generated at once, and that's 10 times quicker than what we did, meaning we're going to be generating 10 stacks of cobble in just over a second. Oh, I like this idea. Let's get many, many of them built. Okay, so using my little clipboard and a whole bunch of shulker boxes, I've managed to get almost 10 full shulker boxes worth of cobblestone generators. Each one of these shulker boxes contains all of the ingredients I need in order to make one cobblestone generator. And if I hold shift and look at each one, you can see they all contain the exact same ingredients, except for this one, because I don't have enough chutes. And yet again, my iron supply is looking pretty lacking, so I can't really make any more, which is why I've got diamonds in my pocket, because I'm going shopping. All of the way to probably the richest member of the server, who is chosen because he just sells absolutely everything everybody needs. I'm going to need a whole bunch more vaults. I could really do with some more chain drive. Well, belts would be nice. Grab a few belts. Oh, and chutes. We're definitely going to need a whole bunch of chutes. Okay, Mr. Shopkeeper, I would like to spend my money, and that is literally all the diamonds I have left now. And with that bit of shopping now done, all of my 10 shulker boxes have exactly the same things in. We've got a whole bunch of spare stuff here, as well as a whole bunch of stuff for us to build the rest of the infrastructure there. So I don't think that I'm going to need to be heading back here anytime soon. And now that I've got myself a little temporary workshop set up down here, it's time to take one of these shulker boxes, give it to this cannon, and check that we've got everything that we need in there, which we do, which means we can now blast into place our very first cobblestone generator, and it really shouldn't take any time at all. Now, unfortunately, when the schematic cannon runs, it doesn't place in any lava or water, so I'm going to have to do that manually, which is why in one of these boxes I brought myself a whole bunch of buckets, and I can fill those buckets on this little system here that we've got filling those mechanical arms, so that's going to be nice and easy. But there we go, look, it's nearly finished already. This is amazing. And the only thing I might change from the future ones of these that we blast into place is the fact that it's already got cobblestone in it, which is is handy, but it does stop you from getting the water into the drills. And there we go. That's all of the drills waterlogged. Now we just need a bunch of lava in each one of those. So I'm going to put the cobblestone back down. Hurrah! That should work. So now that this is all in place, of course, we need to connect it to power and get all of that sorted out. And the power lines themselves are not running at full speed because they're just running at steam engine speed. And I don't want to put a speed controller onto every single one of these. So I think the smartest way to deal with this was to have one speed controller that controls this one and then clutch them all individually. So maybe it would make sense to build a few more before I got them all wired together. So here goes the second one, and the third, and the fourth. And now that we've got 4 in, this is where we get everything connected, make sure everything on this side of the power station, the ground, works, and then basically just duplicate it over onto the other side. And I was going to have 10 of these things, but I think, to be honest with you, 8 of them's going to be more than enough. That's going to give us 2 stacks on that side, 2 more stacks on that side. That's 4 stacks of cobble every, what, is it half a second that it generates? I don't know. It's very, very quick. So yeah, and we'll see if we need more. I mean, I could always add more layers to this and squeeze more in. Could I squeeze more in? Will it fit? Yep, we could squeeze another one in there if we needed to, so we could literally double these up if we ever need to. Now, at the moment, I'm controlling all of these clutches from a single redstone link over there, so I can turn everything on and off nice and easily. But of course, we want these controlled by the amount of cobblestone we've actually got. But we're not going to be storing the cobblestone in these vaults. It's all going to get shipped off to a much bigger vault, probably in the center of the room over there. And that's where we're going to monitor this, how much cobble we've got, and decide whether we need to turn these things off and on again. But before we get to any of that, I want to make these things look semi-decent, so it's girders and lanterns and all that sort of things time. We now have 4 complete cobble generators, all connected with this conveyor belt system, all connected to the speed, which bring our cobblestone all the way down to here and then dump it on the floor for us in a nice little pile. And I'm assuming this single conveyor belt is going to be fast enough to deal with all of the cobblestone coming from all of these at the same time, but I haven't actually tested it yet. In terms of design, I've tried to make them look a little bit more industrial. They kind of look a little bit like faces spitting out the cobblestone out of there with these weird looking eyes and these weird looking ears, and I think they've even got earrings with these lanterns. In terms of actually getting the speed to them, all I've done is connected the speed controller down here to our power line, and then that's running up to a clutch for each individual one, so we can turn each individual one on and off if we want to. But is it going to work? I suppose there's only one way to find out, and I'm going to stick a temporary vault over there, have all of the items get pushed into that, and see if we get any backlogs. So here we have a vault connected to our line, and there's a threshold switch on it with a redstone link on it, which is currently powered, meaning all of these are currently stopped. When I flick that lever, they will all start, and I've set the limit on here to 50 stacks, so it should turn off all the cobblestone generators once we reach 50 stacks. Of course, I'm going to be timing that to see how quick it is, and I'm also going to be keeping my eye on this belt, making sure there's no backups towards the end of the line, because I'm assuming if I set all of these to exactly 32 items, they'll only spit out half a stack at a time, which is what each one of these can produce at once, which should mean the belt stays relatively clear. Go. This one is producing cobblestone. This one is producing cobblestone. My frame rate has taken a significant hit now because of that. These are all producing cobblestone. It is all working. And yes, it does look like we're not getting any backups on the belt at all. The system is perfectly capable of taking all of those items in there all at the same time without clogging up the system. So we only need one set of belts, which is very nice. And yeah, it's already turned off. That was quick. I didn't stop my timer. I'll have to find out how fast that was in the edit. Well, that was almost exactly 22 seconds, which works out at 1 stack every 0.44 seconds, which is an entire shulker box in under 12 seconds. That's a lot of cobble. And I want more than that, so it's time that I took a schematic of this entire thing and blasted it all into existence over again over there. Well, Well, that's a bit weird. It says it's finished, but there's still clearly a few bits it hasn't bothered to fill in. I don't know why it's not bothered to put all of the belt in, or why all of these are in the wrong place. I can only assume that's from me spinning it round and mirroring it and stuff like that and getting it all confused. So I've got a bit of work to do on this one, and I'm already started filling in all of the water and the lava, actually getting these things turned into cobblestone generators. So I'll be back with you in a minute. And there we go, I fixed all of those little problems. But the new problem is, because we've got so many cobblestone generators, even though they've completely optimized how cobblestone generators work, I still can't move or see anything when they're turned on. Just looking at my frames per second right now, we are touching on 200, around about 180 to 200, and I flicked that switch and all of a sudden I'm down to 50. There's a big noticeable difference in how well I can see, and you might be going, oh, nearly 50 frames per second in create mod, that's really good. It's not if you're trying to make videos out of it. It's not. You need to have at least the amount of frames per second that your video is recorded in, and it's not really the frames per second that's so much of the issue. It's more just the stuttering, which is not ideal. So we might have to just use these very sparingly. But anyway, it's working, and we're generating a lot of cobble, but in the wrong places. I don't want them in those vaults. I want them in bigger vaults. Oh, look how smooth it is now. It's like treacle. Treacle? Yeah, smooth treacle. Very smooth, bit sticky. Or something else that's smooth. Silk? No, not silk. Everyone says silk, mate. It's boring. I've added a central cobblestone storage system, and it's much smaller than I'd like it to be, but I don't have enough vaults to make it bigger. I've extended the lines coming from each side to the middle, where they will both be sucked up into these smart chutes put inside this smaller vault here, and it's smaller just to keep things symmetrical, because apparently I have a problem, which I do. And then out of there, the items will be distributed outwards equally into this one and that one. So we'll know when the system is full if this one is full. So all I need now is a threshold switch and a redstone link, which should be in one of these boxes. There we go. Let's just pop it, I guess, there. Stick the redstone link on there. We're going to give it cobble and red wool. And we want to make sure that this can be absolutely full to the brim. So let's move this. Oh, really? You can hold 480 stacks? Well, let's say if this has got over 400 stacks, stop everything else. And if it's got less than one stack, then it can restart it. So now our entire system should be controlled by these vaults, and that means it's time to get all of the frames in the world by turning it on and letting those vaults fill up. Right, you are no longer required. Oh, here we go. Oh, jeez. The lags, the many. Why is it laggy when all it's doing is changing the texture on the blocks? I don't understand. Are we getting a backup somehow now? I mean, it is going in, but I'm kind of feeling like this is backing up. Yes, it is. But it didn't back up earlier when I did it, so why is it doing it now? What's going slower, or what's going faster? Are we producing more cobble than we did before, or am my test just... Oh, geez, it's not even moving on that side. Well, that's weird, because that one belt was way more than enough to keep up with it all before. There were gaps in it, and now it's barely able to keep up with 2 cobblestone generators, which basically means all the cobble coming from those ones is not even being used. I suppose there could be a bit of a delay with it going through here into that. Perhaps if I added more chutes on this bit, that would speed this up a bit, because they're not moving ever so quickly, are they? I'm going to put a lever on here and stop that for a second so I can see. Let all of that filter in, and then get some more chutes. If I came around the corner there like that, and I do the same thing this side, bear in mind these are not smart chutes, but you can actually force 64 items at a time to go through those, providing you use something smart like a smart funnel or a smart chute to actually fill them. So now what I could do is put that on there, and that on there, and we should start moving twice as much stuff into there, which we are. Yeah, this might be a safer way of doing it anyway. If I bring that right up there, get rid of that one and that one, put that there and put that there, and then grab another angled one off there, put that there, then grab another one off there and put that there. Now we should be sucking in many. I mean, something's going on over there. Maybe it's because I'm too far away. Yeah. I just needed to update it. The other way I can actually solve this is to change these from 32 to 64 at a time. And that way, each one of the stacks on the belt is going to hold twice as many. And that means the belt will have half as many items on it. And this is the last one I need to change. There we go. We're all on 64 on there now. The other thing I could do if I had more brass funnels, I already got one on me, is I could actually put one there and another one there. Let's turn it back on, get many lags, and see if the belts can actually keep up this time. And just changing those to 64 has made it much slower going onto the belt, which means it is of course keeping up a whole bunch better than it did. Keep our eyes on it for a minute. And yeah, this is no problem at all. In fact, we can save ourselves a little bit of money here. We'll get rid of that one and that one and that one and that one and that one, and we've still got enough going in there. Occasionally we get a couple coming down there, but that's plenty. In fact, I don't even think we need these ones now. Let's see. Is it going to start backing up? It is going to start backing up slowly there. Okay, we'll keep those ones. But how fast is it? That's what I want to know, and it's going to be difficult to find out now because the entire thing's absolutely full of cobblestone. We've got nearly 60,000 in there already. The only way to get it out is to burn it. Well, I've made a few changes. First of all, a temporary change is I've added fire and chutes under there to empty out all of the cobblestone to stop it being full of cobblestone. And the second change is that I've moved the small vault back a little bit in order to add another passer to the bigger vaults on both sides because items were going in there faster than they were going out. And that's because we're producing basically 4 smart chutes worth of cobble at a time, and we're only moving 2 smart chutes worth of cobble at a time, which means eventually that small one will back up even though these are not fully empty, and the whole system will back up. And now that I've done all that, I can finally do a rate test. So let's first of all remove all of these chutes, remove the ones from the other side. And the way we're going to do these tests is quite simple. We're going to allow this vault and that vault to completely fill up, and then allow 10 stacks in this vault. Once there are 10 stacks in here, the redstone torch will turn on, stopping all of the cobblestone generators, and that means in total we will have 3,250 stacks of cobblestone in there. And the reason I put the threshold switches on the front of these ones is just so I can see quickly how many stacks are in there and how many stacks they can hold. So without further ado, get your stopwatches ready. It is time to see how many items we're making per hour via the means of doing maths and stuff. Doing maths and stuff? Yes, maths and stuff. On your marks. Get set, go. And I'm just going to free cam here while all of these things run, and I'm going to keep my eye on the little red dot on there so that when it turns on, I know to stop the timer. 9 minutes and 27 seconds. And that's over 1.3 million items per hour. So we've got a power station that makes 1.2 million stress units per hour. And we've got a cobblestone generator that makes 1.3 million cobblestone per hour, which is absolutely ridiculous. Now, there is one more thing I want to do with this, because obviously this storage is pathetic and it's completely bypassing the fact that every single one of these cobblestone generators has a full-size vault underneath it. That's 8 full-size vaults we could be using full of cobblestone, but we're not. In order to do that, instead of using the threshold switches over here on these vaults, what we really should be doing with these is using these to control the conveyors, and then having separate threshold switches on these vaults that control each individual clutch. That way, each one of these can fill up and then stop, and when we're running out of items in the main storage area, it can then call for more by basically just activating the conveyors, which will then take the items out of those vaults, put them in here, and those can start restocking again. And if we do it right, that means we'll hardly ever have to run the cobblestone generators at all, because we'll be able to store, quickly takes a threshold switch to do some calculations, well over 1 million cobblestone, or 16,680 stacks, which is a whole bunch of it. Right, let's do that then. So in order to control this main belt, what we need to do is to come down here. I believe it's that one there. Yep, that's turned off the entire main belt, so we can throw a clutch in there with a redstone link on, just like that. And then we need to do the same thing on this side over here. Let's just break that one there, double check that the main belt has gone off. It has. The little ones can still go, that doesn't matter. Pop in a clutch, stick on a link, invert the link, put on the wall, put on the cobblestone, and now that is all controlled from our main vault thing. which is over here. Now, in order to control the cobblestone generators themselves, we either need to have completely unique redstone link items on each one, or just put the clutches in a place where we can directly link the redstone from the switch to the clutch, which makes a lot more sense to me. Okay, I think the simplest way to do this is instead of have the threshold switch there, pop it down there. Instead of having the clutch up there, bring it down over here, like that. And then we can literally just run redstone from there up onto there like that, and hopefully that will stop it when it reaches the limit. Let's just tell it we only want 1 stack in there. Turn it up so it can start generating some. And that didn't work. And of course, the solution is just as simple as adding a little stair there to put that in, which means I'm actually going to make this look a little bit tidier as well. Let's just bring this across here like this, and then we can have the redstone dust running all the way across there and onto the top of that. And I think that just looks a little bit better. Now I've got to connect all of them and set this to the right number of stacks as well. We'll start it when it's got less than 100 stacks in it, and we'll stop it when it's got over 1,000. And now that's the second one plumbed in, and I think that looks even better with the threshold switch halfway up there. Again, we don't need that one, so let's get rid of that. And we can make this look even tidier by getting rid of that and putting the threshold switch there. Lovely. And there we go. That is all of the systems now completely independently set up, meaning all the cobblestone generators will only run if their own storage is lacking. And that should mean that hopefully they're not all going to be running at the same time, causing me all sorts of laggy frame rate issues. Although it is going to take a while for them to fill up. So there we go, a job well done. 1.2 million stress units and 1.3 million cobblestone. I'm doing all the millions today, mate.